So, today's project, I've just started to learn the Procedural Objects mod. It's it's still kind of rusty, so this may or may not work. I've set myself a measurable goal. So, Havel Avenue, a street like this would almost certainly have a business improvement district, a group of merchants that are voluntarily have agreed to tax themselves additionally so that they can put money collectively into improving their commercial area. And one of the things that in my own home city that my local business improvement district has done a fair bit of is public art. So the Havell Avenue Merchants Association, they've gotten together and they want to commission some public art. And so where would we want to put that? Well, nothing says Havell Avenue like this location here. This is so many eyes going through here. It's the perfect spot, this big blank wall. We're going to put some art on it. So, I've downloaded a whole bunch of art packs, and we're going to give this a try. Buried here in this prop pile, so we're starting to see them. Okay. The less officially sanctioned tag is, of course, available now, but I'm thinking we want to do this is going to be something special. This is going to be public art, not just a graffiti. So what do we like? That one's it's got some color. That's kind of pretty. Might just put a few of these out here so we can just kind of take a look. I like the color of that. Yeah, that is nice. Oh, if it was a music venue, that would be perfect. A moose with some bubble gum. This giant chameleon. There's a fair bit of this, which is nice because it's better to have more options than not. And if I want to use more than one along here, that might be all of them. I think I really like, I'm kind of drawn to the color of that one. Ooh, that's nice. Oh, I like that too. Geez, and that one's almost tailor-made to fit. I might not, would barely even have to do anything to make that one go. There's a lot of good ones here. Oh, we got a T-Rex. Although this one's kind of set on a brick backdrop. Well, I guess this is brick. Oh, Leonard Cohen from Montreal. That's a massive one. Oh. That one, I need a place for that somewhere in town. That's for sure. If not here, somewhere else. Hallelujah. Poppies are pretty too, actually. So there's an embarrassment of choices, really. I probably should just pick one at this point. So I think we'll keep this one in reserve. But I'm gonna go with this one for now, just because it will require me to use procedural objects, which is a chance to show that tool off a little bit more. And also test my own abilities, which might end up being grossly overestimated. All right, so procedural objects. I have to go turn it into a procedural object, which has Shift P. All right, so now that is an object which can be modified. And we're going to see what we can do in terms of scaling it. Although it's kind of jumped in size already, so I'm not sure that we actually need to do a whole lot to it. So we do edit, customize, and we can then actually grab the pieces of this object and change its size so that it better fits. So it can avoid that kind of marbly edge and just cover up on the brick. Bring this down. We'll probably leave an edge of brick. I think the artist might deliberately leave a section up at the top. How far can we stretch this before it starts to look ridiculous? That's becoming too much. We'll aim for the top line here. That's quite something. It's little things like, how do I click off this? It's little things like that actually can add a lot to a city, right? Like you'd think that would be a local landmark that everybody would know. I'll have to figure that out. I'll figure that out offset because I don't know how to do that yet. It would be good to include some text there as well. Maybe some sort of inspirational saying or something like that. Anyway, I think the Havel Avenue merchants got their money's worth out of that one. So, what else along here? There's this horrible blank wall. I'm going to say that it was a 2-for-1 commission or another artist. And we're going to do the same thing over here. Take this ugly modern blank wall and see if we can turn it into a bit of a showcase for some art as well. Has to really hug the wall, otherwise yeah, that's good. So raise it up just a little bit. This one will probably be easier to scale just because it's a little bit more fitting for the spot. Oh, we haven't actually turned it into a procedural object yet. I have to click on it and then do Ctrl P. Now it is an object that we can modify. This is only something I started to do today. I think if we do page up, that works. And I think it's, if I just hit 8, nope. Come back. Maybe Ctrl, can I stretch it over? There's probably some way to be doing this. Yeah, well, that's actually working out okay. I was thinking that I was losing the grid of it. No, it's isn't that clever. Stretching it just on that pane. But now I have to stretch it again the other way. And maybe once more. I guess I could just stretch and move. There. That's pretty good. So, Havel Avenue When you're stuck in traffic on Havel Avenue, you can now look at some public art. I think I can also mess with the colors. Ooh, yeah, that's better. Yeah, I like that. Darker is better. Yeah, that's the winner. That small little change right there. So, the merchants of Havel Avenue, they definitely got their money's worth out of that. I'm going to just take another look along here, see if there's any other big blank walls that might need some art. That one's built in, that one's not me. That one's not bad, it's the same building type actually. But I'm thinking more like, this one here, it's actually kind of almost, it's kind of concrete kind of canvas. We should do something with that one. So, find a piece of public art that we like. Oh, you know what? This is where Cohen's gonna go. If I can find him. I wonder if oh, there it is. That worked. Homage to Montreal. There. I think we have Mr. Cohen in place where he needs to be. So now I need to go, we want to edit, customize. Oh, there they are. I want to change the size. That's a little too much. There's probably a better way to do this than the way I'm doing it. But this is new to me. Still very much a learning process. There. And I want to raise him up. Ooh. Oopsie. Raise the whole object up. So, back, move, oops. We made it crooked. It's not bad, but that line up here is crooked. That came from me messing with things. That's probably going to be a pain to fix at my skill level. Might actually be just like that. You know what? I'm just going to leave it. We're going to file that under victory of good enough. So as you're coming along Havel, there's Mr. Cohen. That's so cool. It just adds so much. Now, I think we'll try some of the dark side of the public art. Over here, the merchants have not endorsed anything. You know what? I don't even need to turn this into a procedural object. We can just put this on as is and leave that step for something that is a little bit more challenging, has a little bit higher payoff for the effort. There. That business owner has been tagged. He's probably none too pleased about it. Well, here's another blank wall. We're still on Havel. This is one the merchants would definitely go for. And so the one thing too about murals in public art is they actually become a bit of a deterrent against graffiti, because you get locations like this, a big white blank wall. I mean, the owner of that's going to be out there having to remove graffiti on that constantly. Whereas if you turn it into a mural, people tend not to want to ruin someone else's work, and so you often with public art, it becomes a way of deterring. Oh, the wolf eyes are kind of creepy, actually. This is a little dark than what I was looking for, but I think as a procedural object, as we did to the other mural up the street, we can change the color. So we can probably lighten it. This is the one. Let's just see if we can get a color that's it's just too dark, actually. Yeah, okay, well, we're gonna get rid of that one then. That was pretty good. Let's hold on to that one. Ballerina would also be nice. Oh, wow, look at that. That is super pretty. That's one that you need on a wall at a zoo. When I eventually build the Aldea Zoo, I'll definitely be using that there. Oh, I like this one. Yeah, that's the one we'll do. Where'd it go? Where did the rest of them go? Oh, I accidentally... Nope. Huh. I don't know what I did there, but I lost my art, so we'll just have to get it back. That's fine. Space is already occupied. Oh, I turned anarchy off. Oh dear, that might be problematic. Did that mess up other things? Like send all my lights. Oh, damn it, it did. So, anywhere where I've had a prop in the sky has just fallen into the harbor. Oh, sigh. Well, I promised some hiccups in using procedural objects since they're new to me. And I did deliver on that, pressing Ctrl P rather than Shift P to create a procedural object. Ctrl P turned off prop anarchy, and then every prop on my entire map that I've ever placed that's not sitting directly on the ground, like these lamps on the wharf, signage on buildings, lights on buildings, scattered throughout the map, anything that was floating immediately plunged down to whatever the ground level would be, including ground level underwater. It was easier just to quit rather than hunt down all those props on the map and try and raise them back up again. So I did that, but the game threw me a solid. That had actually auto-saved after all that finicky work to get Leonard Cohen in place, so we didn't lose that. All I lost was the work that I had done over here on this building. And since then, I went back and I actually found this piece of public art, which I like even better anyway, and put that on the building instead. The giant cat here, you can definitely imagine that that's going to be something that people are going to take selfies with in all sorts of different poses. The real cat mural here is actually from Waterford in Ireland, and looks quite like a stunning thing in real life. So kudos to Dan Leo, the artist who created that. I'm glad he commissioned one for Aldea as well, as it turns out. So I added the cat mural on, and the other piece I did, just because you now watch me finicky mess with a bunch of murals. I noticed this wall, I had missed it on Havel Avenue. It was an absolutely prominent one. So I went ahead and I added a mural onto it as well, which I think turned out pretty good. Kind of a different take on, I don't know what kind of bird that actually is meant to be. I think this mural is from South America. And I threw some tags back there in the alley kind of behind. So that would be it for our public art addition to Havel Avenue for today. I think it was an okay outing for for playing with procedural objects for the first time. So I think next we'll go actually build some residence for new citizens. So I need to add some new housing to Aldea. I installed the realistic population mod a while back, and one of the impacts of that was to increase the number of jobs in a lot of the buildings in the city, and that took the unemployment rate and plunged it down to basically nothing. There's way more jobs available than there are people employed. So there's a shortage of workers in Aldea, and so I've been holding off on adding any kind of new businesses until I can kind of address that. I've even left spaces that I want to put more commercial in empty on some of the main streets because I need the people there to work first. So we need to add some more residential, and I'm looking at this kind of parcel of land here along the railway tracks. It is near this major intersection of Kears Boulevard and Borden Avenue. So we're going to start to add some more housing in here. There's some good transit access along here as well. So what I like to do is I like to work with the topography as much as I can. And this is definitely hilly, so that's going to create some challenges. There's some sections that are basically unbuildable. You would not put anything on the side of that. You might just run a road up to the top of that hill. But the rest of this, I think we can probably do it, although it might come with some challenges. So the first thing I want to do is build out some of the road network, and we're going to take our cues from what we already have. So this is a major street here. Well, it's not a major street as in multiple lanes, but it is a key kind of artery. It's Bonnie Street, and we're going to extend Bonnie Street through. So I want to use my bike lanes with grass median to do that. Making sure we'll probably find out what we need to turn off in a minute. So I'm going to just keep following the railroad track contour here. We'll run that out this way. We won't be using the far end of it yet, but it's good to have it there as a placeholder. So that's Bonnie Street. Then the other thought would be, what else do we're going to need coming through here? This is kind of a choke point. We've got a major avenue down there. We probably should have a major avenue here as well. So I want to peel that off of Borden Avenue somewhere along here. I'm thinking right along the base of the hill is probably what makes sense. So we want a four lane road with grass and bike lanes. My kind of go-to for setting out I'm thinking about here. It probably makes sense. I do tend to build cities on a grid because it tends to be, at least in North America, how they've been done up until 1950s. But I'm not afraid to break with the grid, and the way to break with the grid is not just to randomly draw some streets just because, although sometimes you do get that with development. It's to break the grid for a reason, and so here there's reason to break because we've got this significant topography challenge to work with. So we're gonna go over to here, and then we're gonna follow this contour. I'll aim for in the middle of the two of them, actually. That really shows how the elevation gets steep over here, is we've got this much space between those two main contours over here, and then it's down to like really nothing once you get over to there. That's good. Get rid of the trees or the grass, since this is now a roadway. I want to think too, I don't think I'm going to make this hill. It's much more in the center of the city. I'm thinking this hill is going to be, and it's much flatter. It's more a mesa or a plateau. I'm thinking that we'll probably want to build on that in some form. We might leave some natural space, but that one's not going to be just the wild hill the way we did with the other Aldea hilltops. Take out some of this grass on Bonnie Avenue too, or Bonnie Street. Oh, I actually need to extend the names. We'll do all our street names in a minute. So that really kind of sets out what we have to work with here. I don't want to extend this street because it does get a little close to the intersection. I have had problems already traffic-wise there. And I think I want to reserve this kind of corner for now, because I think we're going to need a transit hub in this area. This is a rather kind of key junction. You've got this road that goes out along this future kind of waterfront area. You've got this road that's heading out over land, and you've got Borden Avenue heading all the way up here. So there's a lot kind of coming together in this spot, and so I'm thinking we already have, we've got the Portland's bus route, we've got the Havell bus route, and we've got this, what is this one? This is Baker or Barker. I think it's Barker Street that I named the other one. There's not as many of them, but there's this other bus route that comes in here and then comes down here, goes up to this high density node of condos and goes up Barker Street all the way up north. So we have three bus routes, Havell, each direction, Portland's and Barker Street, both originating from this spot. So we've got 4 bus stops here already. And this is probably not going to be the end of our transit in this area, so I think we really need to reserve space for that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lock off this piece for now. We'll use this street as the guiding spot, and this block, we're going to keep it in reserve for future use. The developer probably would have wanted to put something there, but the city said, nope, we're going to need that spot. And there'll be a showdown over, over price and everything else to come. Sometimes those negotiations can be fraught. Okay, and so the other, I'm thinking we're not going to join on along here. I think we're just going to leave it at this street. This might end up having to be, maybe we'll just do it preemptively. We'll make this anticipating that there'll be a lot of people wanting to make turns there. We're going to make this one in advance already, where you can have 2 lanes so that people don't get hung up on each other. But we do need to finish the street grid. I'm thinking probably we don't want to go much past that point, because after that, this is, we'll have some down here. We're probably not going to have anything on that slope. It's pretty darn steep. This is really just squeezing a road through more so than anything else. So probably, I think the end of our buildable area is somewhere around in here. So we just need to work some streets in through that in a way that makes sense. And I think we're going to follow our terrain. So I'm just going to follow the contour line as much as I can. And maybe we want to come join up to the main road here. What's that look like? It's a little steep, but I think we can fix that. By giving this a little bit more elevation, that makes for that that makes that a manageable curve. Certainly, we've got a big rock face there now. I'd like this to be just, I'm gonna have to turn off some of the other snaps. I think that's probably, yeah. I want it to be here. We'll fix that node in a minute. There. So the street will bring it in. We're gonna have to bend it here. No, actually, it would be good to have it connect down so that you have some connection to Bonnie Street on this side, not just on that side. So let's bring this all the way down to Bonnie Street. That's not bad. A little kid intermission there. So where were we? We're going to take, I'm looking at, we probably should have a connection up to here. Yeah, I think we should. In fact, it's a lot of kind of finicking trial and error, trying to figure out what makes sense. You know what? We're going to have this as a little neighborhood park, this little square. Oop. We don't want an elevated piece. All right, that is going to need some work. Luckily, there's a great tool for that, where we can set the elevation to be evenly spread. That does the trick. That's pretty good. 5% grade it's definitely a good grade, but it's not undoable. This node should be set to sloped. There. Probably get away with just deleting it, but we'll leave it for now. So there we go. We've got makings of a new sort of neighborhood. You know what? Actually, let's clear out some of the grass first and then have a think on what it is we actually want to do in here, how we want it to be laid out. The grade of Chapman Street's fine. That's not too steep at all. Okay, so now we're going to think what it is we want to achieve in here. So we got a transit hub. This is a rather high density area, so definitely row housing over here for sure. We might want maybe something a little bit more significant on this block. I used to be a complete purist where I would only do zoning, but bit by bit, I've become more and more plot things. I know it's kind of not everyone's cup of tea, but I like that you have more control. And it doesn't break the game because, you still have the levels of the buildings to contend with. You still have to deal with traffic coming out of them. So, I've kind of come around to it over time. Didn't certainly used to have an attitude of like, well, no, I don't want to plop out my city. Oh, we're going to need to, won't have any services over here yet. There, that's enough to provide water access and everything to everybody. We're going to get rid of that one for now. I do like this building style, but I think I want to put it on this side of the street. Though we've got enough room here. This could be a line. I love these. I'll go through, find them. Oh, this would be a good one. Though the elevation might make it a little kind of wonky. Doors hovering in space and all. Can I squeeze it out this way to raise it up? Maybe. How far can I push that? I can get it to about there. That's not bad. My inconsistencies are also hidden underneath that veranda. It is ultimately a game that does require you to make some bends and kind of compromises here and there. I think that's pretty good. Let's that might be a little bit more clever than it turned out to be. I don't quite like that. I think instead we're just going to use that. It's kind of got a step down sort of approach from the main street on the corner coming in, and this will work well when there's a big transit hub directly across the street. So continuing in that vein, there is a modern, I don't like how those pair with that. I do like that this particular set, though. This might be a good fit for up here. Yeah, that's pretty good. Unfortunately, its mate doesn't quite fit, but that's okay. We'll figure out something else to kind of put in there. Move these back off the corner a little bit, just so we can kind of line up the street line in a way that would be how they would do it in the real world. Because you want like a consistent street line. That's typically what happens in development. Well, planners would call it a street wall. You want a consistent street wall. Probably something a little bit taller than that. Oh, it's raining again. I thought I turned that off. Oh well, we'll have a little rain shower here as we're working. Oh, those look pretty good together. I wonder if there's different color versions. Nope, it's gray. Oh, we can... they're not really set up. Well, those two work together, so we'll do that. Actually, it'll be easier for me to just plop a new one. I guess they do color for... Oh, those two down there look good together, stepping. I like that. They're stepping down the block. And we'll leave that for now. What else do we have that would look good in here? Since this has clearly been modern development that has come after, you might work great in here, actually, with that slope roof line, kind of picking up on that a little bit. Street frontage is terrible, though. I think this needs to be, because it's the transition point, they need to be pretty narrow, elevation-wise. I do like that one a lot. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and put that one on the other side of the street. I think that's the one. I like that. We'll leave a little gap between the buildings, and we'll put through a little pedestrian path, a mid-block crossing. Almost fits. I wonder if I can just kind of... Nope. Multiple Chipotles. Yeah, I think that'll work. Got this larger one here on the corner, which, geez, it's pretty, but it's kind of throwing off the density piece that we were going for by having things step down from the greater density at that end of the block. It's kind of breaking up the flow. Might end up getting rid of that, going in a different direction here. Oh, neat. It's got a little alley right through the building to get to that parking behind it. How's that? Nah, that's wrong. Way too big. Not bad, but too close. And can't push that one back because the mod are set. I do like this one. I've used this one several times in my city now. It's just got quite a unique presence. All right, this is a busy block. 27 households there, 17 there. Lots in that. I haven't been watching our population, but I'm sure it's now up. I do need to find, because it pains me to look at that gap, especially out here on this main street. So what do we have? Oops. In the one tile wide space that would be, ooh, that might work. Although it's got these side stairs on that hill, that's probably not going to be a good fit. That's not too bad. We could put 2 of those in there. Oh, actually, I know what would be best. This was really well done by the developers. Or actually, I think these weren't theirs. But they're perfect for this kind of setting. This might be Smiles. He's one of my favorite content creators. The city would be a much more boring place if it weren't for his. The owner up on this corner unit might get annoyed with the folks next door for not keeping up with their plants. That's pretty good. Probably nudge it out just a little bit. I liked it before. Nudge it back. Am I not on moving? I thought I had these. There we go. Yeah, that really needs to be like that, actually. So what we'll do, we've got a little bit of room to play with here. We'll nudge these that other direction. So we can have that consistent street wall along Borden Avenue. Don't use that door. There we go. That's pretty good. Some minor gamey imperfections, but I'm pretty happy with that. And things kind of proceed in a logical way where density is decreasing as you go down the block. Though this is a major road, we don't really need to, but I'm kind of just thinking about this as a node. Once I have some workers, I'll abandon that building. I think this side we're going to leave. It's on a side street. I'm feeling that these two wouldn't necessarily go wall to wall. So I think we'll leave that and we'll landscape back through here instead. See if Surface Painter can help out with some of these blemishes. It can. No, it never seems to connect very well with the pedestrian paths. That's okay. That's pretty cool. So we're going to leave this space here as a future park. We'll probably put a playground in there. So I think maybe go down this corner and we're going to largely replicate what's already on the other side of the street on this side. Oh, as long as I have these, I use these all the time. They're one of my favorite sets. They're just so versatile. I kind of space out the garage pieces, imagining that there's probably some sort of underground parking connections between them. Always make this one, because it's got this nice kind of corner. Actually, yeah, that's the one. Always make that one that corner, and I always make this one for sure the corner on the other side. And they just look so good. Kind of architecture of anywhere. I like to make sure that there's good connectivity for pedestrians and cyclists. Those are filling up, and these ones are leveling up. Flip it around, how many spaces we want to, because one thing with the hills, I probably want to keep this to 2 so that there's space for things to kind of even out between this side of the street and the other. So let's see what we have that's no more than 2 tiles deep. Oh, we're actually put up some. This maybe is what we put up here on this side. Not sure yet, because it's hard to design for something you don't have yet. So this future transit hub, not sure how much space we're going to need there. Oh, this is nice. Nice piece of modern architecture. Gets taller and taller there. Let's just kind of check out the main options. That would be a good corner piece, actually. That's beauty. Right there. Perfect. Almost wall to wall. The thinnest of alleys going back to the neighbor's got quite a trash pit back there. No one's called city bylaw yet, evidently. So back to what we were thinking. We could use these along here. They'd be a good front on the park. Yeah, see, that's if we use a 3 deep on this space. Actually, it's not too bad. I thought that would be worse than it is. I bet you, well, these ones are kind of almost, what if we use one that actually goes all the way to the back? No, that's okay. This elevation is actually okay. I've been sweating nothing here. So that gives us some more opportunity. So we can go up to 3 deep. Question is, what kind of style do we want? I think it's going to be row housing type stuff. That feels right for back in here, especially given the other side of the street. Slice of Amsterdam. I feel like it needs higher density at this corner, though. Ooh, put that there. Good stuff to have across from your transit hub. We'll need a corner piece, a 2x2. At least something that has got, that's rubbish. Has good corner presence. It's kind of got a nice little separation going. Yeah, I kind of like that. You do have modern stuff often mixed into old cities too. As buildings are not, they're around for a long time, but they're not around forever. So we'll imagine that maybe there was a big fire or something on the corner that took that out and opened it up for something different. Need a 1x2. And the developer actually built both of these, we'll say. All right, so now we'll transition along here and fill this space in. There. That's some good urbanism. So many trash, so much trash. I should use Bob and get rid of those dumpsters. Actually, it's a little much on repetition. It'd be better off just adding it as props. And I think we're on our way. This is probably getting a bit on the long side, so I might just cut it here and we'll come back and finish this another time. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time in Aldea.